Hi, it's Lori here to talk about Chapter 5, How to Form a Business. Here's the cheat sheet I made for myself. Hopefully we can bring it up here. There we go. Questions I ask myself when I am looking to form a business are, how much liability do I want to assume? What are the expenses I'm willing to put up with to start that entity? What kind of taxation am I looking for? How big do I want to be? And who do we want to share the business with? So everybody's got those 5 questions? Great. All right, well, let's talk about sole proprietorships. Those are the easiest to form, and they're very inexpensive. You can just decide to start operating a business. Some cities and counties and states require you to file a DBA, which is a doing business as certificate, but those are very inexpensive. And you just start operating your business. You take in the revenues, you pay your expenses, and you have what's left over. The positives are that it's easy and that it's taxed as at the individual rate. The negatives are that you're 100% exposed, so you have complete and total unlimited liability, which is a negative if you have any assets at all. So as we get older in life, we tend to have more assets. So many small businesses start as a sole proprietorship, but as they become more successful, they transform themselves usually into a corporation. Second form of business, this is second form of business that we're going to talk about today, are partnerships. And the most typical is a general partnership where both partners are equal and both partners are involved in the day-to-day operation of the business. As the book points out, it's really important to make sure that you're getting into business with the right partner because they're a little harder to dissolve and a little stickier. You certainly want to lay out everything that you think you might encounter as a problem in your partnership agreement ahead of time. Some of the advantages of a partnership are that it's still taxed at the individual level. Negatives and another positive is that you now have somebody else's assets and resources to draw on. Some of the negatives, the biggest negative I know of, is the unlimited liability for both your actions and for your partner's actions. So that's why you really want to be careful when you get into business as a partnership. I highly recommend you rethink that. Third form of business I want to talk about today are corporations, and those come in two varieties. S corps and C corps. C corps are conventional corporations, and they're taxed as a separate entity. Corporations are a separate legal entity in the eyes of the law, which is kind of nice. And so the corporation stands between you and the creditors of the corporation. So as a shareholder or a stockholder, your assets are not on the line other than whatever you've invested in the stock of the corporation. Disadvantage of that is that you're taxed twice. So the corporations have a tax rate in the U.S., and then anything that flows out to you also gets taxed. That's a negative. Positives are, beyond limited liability, is that you can gather money from more people because you can sell shares to people who are not involved in the business, and many businesses start this way as a way to raise capital to start their business. The S Corp is a variety of the conventional corporation, and it is taxed as a partnership or as an individual. So at Iroquois, we have all 3 kinds. We have a partnership, a C Corp, and an S Corp. And the S Corp's profits flow directly onto my tax return, which is a positive if there are profits that show up in cash, but it's a negative when the profits show up as paper profits and I still have to pay tax on them. Another type of organization is the limited liability company, and the idea is that allows you to divide up the profits differently than the ownership. In a C Corp or an S Corp, the profits or dividends have to flow out in accordance with the ownership of the corporation. Whereas in an LLC, you can just say, I'm going to own 20% of the LLC, but I'm going to get 80% of the profits. And so that's a nice way to go. The book talks about limited partnerships and master limited partnerships and that sort of thing. Those are more specialized. They're certainly common enough, but for purposes of this class, I think we'll just focus on sole proprietorships, partnerships, general partnerships, corporations, and the 2 kinds, S Corps and C Corps. And we'll also want you to know just a little bit about limited liability companies. And now on to franchising. One of the things we want you to do is take a look at a franchise of your choice, something that you're interested in, on the web, and bring in a page, just one page printed, telling us a little bit about the franchise. And then in groups, we're going to divide up, and you're going to try and pitch your group members on why they should investigate the franchise you chose most. Franchises are a great way to get started in business. However, they can be pretty expensive, as I think we'll find out when we do our group research. And so you want to be very certain that you're picking the right franchise when you do. See you in class.